Hey everybody, welcome back to another Facebook Live. I'm your host Jess.
And I'm your host Lauren.
And today we have a really great Facebook Live for you. Tons of great resources, a great special guest. But before we introduce and we do all that fun stuff, Lauren is going to give us our Facebook Live etiquette.
Thanks, Jess. So first of all, hello to all of our alumni. We're so happy to get to take this time to chat with you all today. Be sure to say hi to us in the comments and tell us how you've been since you graduated. This is really all about checking in with you today. We do ask that we hope you like and share and comment and chat with us today. Just please don't put any personal information in the comments. You could, of course, always call Student Services if you need to talk to us about anything. That number is 1-888-427-1000. If you are thinking about taking another program or something like that, you need to reach admissions. That number is 1-888-427-6500. But you can always find information too about any of our programs or anything that you would need on our website, pennfoster.edu. So with all of that being said, we really just wanted to take time today to check in, talk to you about career resources, how to connect with other alumni, how to motivate current students or people that are thinking about becoming Penn Foster students but aren't sure yet. And then our Alumni Spotlight podcast, which is very cool. So to talk about all of this, we had to bring you a very special guest who is an expert on conducting interviews with our alumni to share your stories, make you feel special, really highlight everything that you've done, and then she works with our student ambassadors too, and that is Nicole.
Hi everybody. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely.
So I tried to give you a little intro, but could you tell us all a bit more about what you do here at Penn Foster?
Definitely. So I work to tell our student stories. So we usually get submissions from students who want to share information, and we try and use that to inspire other students or potential students and motivate them on their career tracks, on their coursework. And then I also work with our student ambassadors who help to help other students within the community space, whether it's with their courses, questions, or just looking for motivation or studying tips or anything in between to help them along.
That's awesome. It definitely makes you the perfect person to help us have this conversation today. I think, a lot of you that are joining us today, you did your program online, you are done with it. Hopefully you're in a really cool job or in college or figuring out what your next step is, but there's still a lot that you could stay in touch with us about and benefit from staying connected with us. So thank you, Nicole, for being here to chat through all of those things.
My pleasure.
So maybe let's dive into career resources first, because that is something that I know is top of mind for a lot of you that are here today. You graduated, you're ready to take the next steps. How do you make sure you stand out when you are applying to jobs? So Nicole, can you take us through some ways to kind of to help our learners and our grads get their foot in the door and think about their next steps career-wise?
Definitely. So the first thing, obviously, that you want to do is have a good resume or CV. So you want to make sure that it's well written, there are no grammatical errors, anything like that, which, should go without saying, but sometimes it's hard when you're writing it. You feel a little bit lost. You don't really necessarily know, but we have resources at Penn Foster to help you along with that. The community space is another great area where you can check in with other students for just tips and advice on putting your resume together. Some of our ambassadors actually put up examples of resumes that you can kind of work off of, so that way you kind of know how to format yours. And I mean, you can always look it up online, but those are important things to include. But also any clubs, any honor societies that you're a part of, make sure you always include those things, because they are highlights on your resume. They show, your achievements, they show your dedication, your hard work, and employers are impressed when they see those things.
Absolutely. I think there's like a piece of writing a resume that a lot of people probably run into where they are afraid of putting too much.
Yeah.
And not knowing what the right things to put are and what not to put, how far back you should go in your job history, what extracurriculars you should kind of put. And I think that really just comes down to like looking at all the things that you've done, all the accomplishments you have, and writing, picking the ones that you're the most proud of, the ones that you are able to speak to the best, because those are the kind of things that if you do get an interview, they'll ask you about.
Yeah, definitely. And I think sometimes people get afraid of bragging, and they're afraid sometimes to put too much in, but you have to be your own advocate, because when you go in for an interview, this person who you're interviewing with doesn't know you. Usually they don't know you, but I mean, they don't know your background, they don't know your interests. So the more you can provide them, the better. I mean, obviously there are certain things that, you don't need to include every little detail about your life, but definitely highlight those things, like you said, that you're proud of, the things that really stand out. And, if you have certain skills that match that job that you're applying for, make sure you put those in there, because those are the things that they're going to look for first, and that's what's going to get you that interview.
Those are good points. I think, though, sometimes it could be tricky when you're working on your resume or your cover letter, preparing for interviews, to know like exactly what to tweak and to feel fully confident that it's totally ready to go. So we do have some resources at Penn Foster to help kind of fine tune all of that. Could you talk to us a little bit about those?
Yeah, definitely. So we have a lot of career resources. There's the Career Link Center, so that can help you find different jobs, but then there's the Resume Builder. So you put in your information and it can help you format everything. It can check over your spelling, grammar. That's a big thing, I feel like, where you see a lot of times online, like on memes and stuff, like just very, very simple errors that are just natural human errors. They happen to all of us, but they can trip you up. So it's definitely a good thing to go into that. And it'll walk you through each step and help you figure out like the different points that you need to make sure you get in there and that are included.
Yeah, that's a great one. We also have the career coaches too. Actually, for anybody who's watched Facebook Live, and this isn't your first one, we did one at the beginning of this year with Kristen. So actually, if you scroll back and look at the videos on this page, you could check that out for more information on all of her awesome career advice, because she's a hiring manager here at Penn Foster. But one thing, so this is something she used to do, she's still involved with it, but we have career coaches. So these are people that, real people that can help you get one-on-one resume advice, build up networking skills, learn key interview skills. They're really awesome. They're here Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time. The phone number to reach them is, so write this down, 1-800-572-1682. You can also send them an email. That email is careercoaches@pennfoster.edu. And those are, I think that's an awesome resource if you want advice from a real person and to kind of like talk through some of this stuff.
Yeah, I think that if sometimes you go through a resume builder, and a resume builder might be great to like format everything the way you want it to look, but you want like an actual set of like human eyes on it from people who know what the way to say things, the way to articulate certain things. It could be just even like the smallest of tweaks of like the present or past tense you're using in terms of your, the duties of your past jobs and things like that. Getting that real human eye on something can really make or break your resume. And just even myself, going back to when I was in school, I took a class, wrote a resume, and then was able to go to my career coaches or my career services at my school and sit down with somebody and have them help me through it. And I still make tweaks to that same resume today. I mean, that was years ago. And as I've grown, I've used those same tips and tricks. So it's really great to have those people for that and for all the other amazing resources that they give out.
Definitely. I'll say 2 other resources you should check out are, one, you've gone through Penn Foster, so you definitely know about the LRC, the Learning Resource Center. There's also job and resume advice in there. So we'll drop the link if you don't have it handy, but that's a great place to check out. And then we have our Penn Foster job board, where there are a bunch of companies that we work with that love our Penn Foster learners, and that could, having Penn Foster on your resume could potentially be a good leg up to get noticed there. So definitely worth checking that out. But I want to move into a fun place for connection and networking, because networking is also part of, landing jobs, and also feeling like, you can share experiences with people who have gone through similar things as you, going through Penn Foster together. So Nicole, tell us a little bit more about ways that alumni can connect with one another on the student community, and a little bit more about the student community.
So the student community is a great space to just connect with your peers. A lot of times I think people feel like when they join an online school, they're kind of just hanging out there on their own. You do your classes and that's it. You don't have a support system. Obviously, with the Learning Resource Center and the job coaches, you have that, but you still have peers with whom, you can connect with and rely on. And that's a big part of, the Penn Foster community as like a whole system. You'll meet people from across the country, different countries, and you can connect with them about, whether it's your coursework that you're learning about, but also jobs. And we see a lot of times, especially with our ambassadors, they're already working in certain fields that maybe you're interested in, or you're getting ready to finish your program, and you can connect with these people. You can learn a little bit more about the positions, what an interview is like in that particular field, what are some of the key points, maybe somebody interviewing wants, to hit, and you'll know how to answer those. So the career coaches are great, definitely make use of those, but going into the community can kind of give you a little bit more insight specifically into what you're looking for, maybe with your career or your job, or even, again, just your general courses. A lot of times, like anybody, maybe you're struggling through a little bit of a course, or you're not really sure about, certain program aspects, or a certain question on a study guide or something. You can go in there and talk to other people. Also, if you're just feeling stressed and you need to vent, let off steam, if you're feeling frustrated, you can go in there and talk to other people. And a lot of times you hear, or you see rather, when you're in there, everybody just supports one another and tries to bring them up and tries to motivate one another into, continuing, persevering, and just getting the job done.
Yeah, I think that that's one of the, best resources that Penn Foster has to offer. And I think specifically because it's not the kind of thing that, okay, you're done with Penn Foster, you're a graduate, okay, we kick you out of the student community because you're no longer a student. You get to stick around, you get to be there. So not only are you able to connect with other alumni to, talk about your job search journeys and, maybe going back and doing another program to upskill the one you already did, but you can also be a motivator for current students who are going through the program that you finished. So on top of it being a resource for alumni to connect with each other, you really get to be an ambassador for, the program that you finished, and you get to help other people out, which I think, everybody in the world is always trying to find a way to help out others in any possible way they can. And this is one way that you can do that, just by being a Penn Foster alumni.
And that's what I really love about it, because you will see people in there saying, I had done this, I did a program, I went in, I got help from my peers. Now I'm going in to look for other students who are looking for that same kind of help because I want to pay it forward. I realize how important that was for me and how that helped me succeed. I want to give that back to somebody else.
Absolutely. I love that.
I feel like a good way to do that is through the student ambassador program. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about that. And there's an alumni ambassador opportunity with that too.
There is. So both current students and past students can apply to join the ambassador program. It's a really nice program where, if you are, of that mindset where you do kind of want to pay it forward and be able to help and be a representative for Penn Foster. If you had a great experience here with Penn Foster, which obviously we hope you all did, you can really kind of spread that and help that out, and help other students experience the same thing. So there is an application process that should be online. I think we can drop the link for that as well. And so you just fill out a form. It is based, you do have to be in good standing with the school academically, but, you could be a present student or you can be an alumni. And what it is basically you're active within the community, but also on social networks, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. And there are monthly assignments you have to complete, whether it's, just providing study tips, or maybe sometimes you are providing insight to us here within the school on different programs. Maybe we're looking to revamp a course and we want to know firsthand from students how they would feel about this, what they think needs changing, what they think is really good. You can provide that insight. So we do expect you to provide those hours. And it's not even like hours, it depends obviously on what the assignment is. They do change month to month, but we do expect you to serve as a mentor to other students. So you do have to be active within the community itself. We ask you to pose questions to students who are already in there, or look for students who maybe have posted a question and go in and actively participate with them and try and guide them and help them on whatever issue it is that they're having.
I love what you said about being able to give feedback to us too. Like, for all of you that are watching, like, you've been through it, like, you've done our programs, like, you've had your Penn Foster experience. Like, that's one cool way to help the future classes of Penn Foster learners have a better experience by giving feedback of what you liked, what you would change, to help us be improving and make it a better experience.
Yeah, I definitely think it's important to have that firsthand knowledge from people who have actually been through it. I mean, we're all here and we know what different jobs need in terms of what information you have to have going into those positions, but everybody has a different way of learning. Everybody has a different way of absorbing information, or even sometimes maybe there are some aspects of the course that maybe, you don't find are that beneficial or could be changed a little bit in terms of, how it's presented. So we want to hear that from you, because who else is going to be better set up to help us guide you than people who've been there already?
Absolutely. And I mean, if, any of this that we're talking about, being a student ambassador and an alumni ambassador, is appealing to you, one more little thing, going back to what we were talking about before, think about how great that would look on your resume.
Yes,
that you were a Penn Foster student ambassador, and that even after you finished your program or while you were doing your program, you were actively, helping other students. Shows a lot of great leadership skills, really good on a resume, a nice little bullet point to add on there. So definitely, if it's something you're thinking about, like Nicole said, we can definitely drop the link into the comments for the application, and we'd love to have you.
I'm glad you mentioned leadership skills too, because it's not just, oh, well, you're providing a service for these other students or potential students. It benefits you too. You do learn leadership skills. You can connect with your other ambassadors. You can connect with me. I can help you with whatever questions or, problems you're having to the best of my ability. But, like you said, it's great for your resume. I've spoken to a lot of ambassadors that do put it on their resume, and that they have, received, a promotion, or, they've had a boss tell them, yeah, we really liked that you're an ambassador. It showed initiative, it showed dedication, it showed leadership. So it really can help you out just as much as you can help out somebody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great point. I know we talked a lot about how the ambassadors and within the community, they're great opportunities to help motivate others, which is like always something that feels very good. Being able to share your experiences and utilize your leadership skills and your knowledge, your expertise in something to help make it a little bit easier on someone else. It always is nice to do. So what are some ways that our graduates can use their skills and experiences to motivate others?
So a lot of times, especially with people I think who are first entering an online school, is they kind of don't know where to start. Like obviously, okay, like you get online and do your courses, but maybe they don't have a great setup for their studying. So, you know, they can provide you with tips on how to set up a good study space or how to navigate, you know, self-paced learning. That's another issue that a lot of people sometimes face, you know, when they're first entering an online program is it is self-paced. So you do have to have a certain amount of responsibility and diligence and, you know, self-discipline in order to make sure you get your work done, you know, in a timely way and you don't procrastinate too much. So a lot of times, you know, they can give you tips on how to balance maybe working full time and creating a study schedule, or, you know, managing a family and working full time and putting together a study schedule. So those are some of the like more common, easier ways to help provide information and motivation. Also, you know, it is tough. Going back to school, it can be really, really hard. Sometimes you don't feel, you know, everybody meets with self-doubt every now and then. So, you know, you could be the best student, you could be the smartest student, but sometimes you just feel like, wow, I'm overwhelmed. I can't do this. So it's a great place to go and talk to somebody like within the community or talk to an ambassador who's been there and done that. And you as an ambassador can tell somebody, you know, yeah, I had the same problems or I had a similar problem. I felt the same way. I felt down about this. I struggled, but this is what I did to get through it and to get past that point.
Yeah, I think that, you know, obviously sharing tips and tricks and study tips and procrastination like tips and tricks, and like you said, you're within the student community, you're always going to find somebody else who probably is going through the exact same thing you are. You can find another, you know, mother or father who's actively trying to balance work and childcare and schooling, and those people will have tips for you that, you know, aren't just the generalized things that you can Google, you know. And I think another big piece of motivating and, you know, encouraging others, even if you don't have study tips, you don't have those tips and tricks, as an alumni, just sharing your story so that somebody can relate to somebody else. Like all you have to do is talk about yourself and give that, you know, who doesn't love talking about themselves? I do. So you know, sharing your story and what, you know, the hardships you may have faced when you were going through your program, and, you know, that could be the make or break for somebody else.
Absolutely. I think it's a lot easier to get through something when you can recognize aspects of yourself in somebody else and their journey. And that's where our student stories are great.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to talk to you a little bit about that because for any of you watching, if you've been to our website or SoundCloud or YouTube or this Facebook, you'll see tons and tons of student stories that we share for our students and from our graduates. And like, you know, Jess and Nicole have said, it's a great opportunity for you to talk about yourself and share. Like, nobody has gone through the very unique challenges that you've overcome or had like the same goals as you, and like you're so unique and like your story is so meaningful, so we love to share them. And Nicole is the one who works to make this happen. So tell us a little bit about that process and how somebody who is interested in sharing their story can do so.
Definitely. So similar process to the ambassador program. There is a link where you can go on and kind of apply. There's a questionnaire on there and you'll fill it out, you know, about the program you took, you know, and just to give like a brief overview of your story. And then I'll go in, I'll find that, and I'll connect with you. I'll usually contact you by email and we'll talk about it a little bit. We'll see what type of interview you're comfortable with. If you want just a blog written about your story, that's totally fine. We can do that. I'll send you additional questions, and then, you know, I'll craft your story and put it together based on that. Or, you know, we'll set up a call or a video conference just like this, whether it's just over the phone or on Zoom or Teams, and we'll just talk and we'll have a conversation. And I mean, obviously, like there are specific questions we want to ask because there are certain things we want to know, but I try and keep it as relaxed as possible because it is hard sometimes for people to share things, especially if you have gone through something major to get you to this point. But also, even if you haven't, it's important to hear those things because there are, you know, regular people who maybe haven't gone through anything, you know, massive in their lives, and they were just somebody who said, you know what, I want to go back to school, I want to do something different, or, you know, I want to upskill, I feel like I can do more with my career or my job, or I want to change directions entirely. And we want to hear about that. So I'll have a conversation with you and talk about that, and you just share your story and your path. And we have a wonderful video editor who will put it together and make it a really pretty package and make it look really nice. And it's a great opportunity for you to share, you know, that story. And again, like I said, students who are maybe thinking about going into a program and are doubting themselves or doubting if it's the right path for them can watch that and be inspired and say, okay, well, you know what? This person did it, I can do it too. Or they may say, you know, that sounds like an amazing program and I never knew this about it, and I never realized, you know, these aspects about this job, and this person seems so happy in this, maybe it's for me. And they'll look into it further, and that can inspire them in a whole new, you know, track for their life.
I completely agree. I think it's just so inspiring. You know, one thing about Penn Foster that I feel like sets us apart is that the students of the stories of our students are so important to us. We love to hear those stories on a daily. You know, I am inspired just knowing that people are doing this for themselves and trying to skill themselves to get better jobs, to have better lives. And hearing those stories are what makes, you know, those are the kind of things that get somebody through a day sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether you think your story is nothing in the grand scheme of everything, which is not true, or you think that your story can really help somebody, both ends of the spectrum, every single one of your stories is just as important and can, if you influence one person, you know, how amazing.
That's a huge step. And like, for instance, like even I think we can sometimes find them very relatable ourselves. Like one of the last ones I did, it was actually one of our ambassadors, Christy Donovan. It's on the blog. And, you know, in it, she talks about how, you know, she was in a job and she wasn't happy. She wasn't happy in her old career. So she decided to go back to school and do something she loved. And it was something I could relate to so closely, because I've been there. I think a lot of people have been there, where you've been in a job or something where you're like, I'm not really happy with this. And that unhappiness kind of filters into the rest of your life and it affects the rest of it. And so she made this change, and now she's really happy and she's very content. And it, you know, she says it wasn't easy, but it was the right move for her. And, you know, just reading that, I find it so inspiring, because I think a lot of people think like you hit a certain point and you can't start over, and that's not true at all.
Definitely. And I think, you know, with that too, like every accomplishment you make, like where you are overcoming a challenge or overcoming even yourself, saying like, I can't start over, or this course is so hard, I can't do it, or I don't have time, or whatever. Like, you need to like take that moment to like recognize how awesome it is that you did overcome that challenge or those feelings of doubt, like you were saying, Nicole, and like made it through. And that's where we always say, if you have your diploma or get in your graduation regalia, or you know, hit a milestone in your career or in your program, post it on social media. Send it to either our Facebook or Instagram inbox, or tag us on Instagram at Penn Foster. And Jess is the one who looks at them, and she loves to share.
I want to share all your stuff, because I'm just always so proud when I get to do it. And Nicole's the same way. When Nicole gets to tell your stories and write your stories, you know, if it is a blog, she takes all that information and she, you know, writes it down, and it's just, it fills us all with pride when we get to do it.
It really does. And I feel really, like, it sounds really cliche, but I do, like, I read those stories, I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of you. Good job. Like, and you should feel the same way about yourself. And, you know, kind of like going back to what I said earlier, you know, sometimes you don't want to brag or show off, but you should, like, you should be proud of yourself. It's not a small thing that you went through, that you accomplished, even if it was just, you know, like, hey, I'm at home all day, I want to go back to school and do, like, that's still something to be so proud of. Like, school is never, you know, a walk in the park. Everybody always has like little things to get over, things that they don't understand. And it's just, it's it's a major undertaking one way or another, and you should always be proud when you did that, when you accomplished that and you finished it.
Yeah, it's our privilege to be able to tell those stories for you guys. So, like we said, again, we will drop these links in the comments. We'll make sure, they're everywhere you can possibly get them to be a student ambassador and to sign up to share your story in any way that you feel comfortable or you want to, because that's the bread and butter of what we do.
So
this was such a great, positive, motivational conversation. So I just want to thank both of you for just having this conversation in general.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and it really is. Like, I get excited when I get these stories in and I see them, and it's something, even if it's something that maybe I don't closely relate to, it's still exciting to hear it and to learn about somebody new and to learn about somebody who, they just have a unique experience, or they have, they just reached a milestone, or just decided, what, hey, it's time for a change. I think that in and of itself, I think is just something to be so proud of, that you had the ability and the motivation and the courage to take that step and say, hey, I'm going to do this.
As you can see, we're really excited to be your hype women. So let us do that. Let us hype you up. Nicole, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all of these awesome ways for our alumni to stay connected, share their stories, and really succeed in the next phases of their lives. And thank you all for watching. We love getting this time to connect with you and chat.
Awesome. Right. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, all of you. And we'll see you guys next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.